Buenos dias, my name is Carmen and you can call me Carmencita, like a little Carmen. And if you're into cookbooks just like I am, super obsessed to the point that you're thinking that maybe this is very unhealthy, then you're in the right place. Because I love cookbooks and I'm bringing one every week. So this week I'm bringing Diasporican, which is not a cookbook from 2023 because as always I'm in Sweden, so I miss everything that is happening in the world. But anyway, this cookbook is a must for any kind of Latin American diaspora, but especially those that come from the Caribbean. I cannot tell you how much I felt very connected to it and to all the recipes and all the stories in it. And I am very grateful for Illyanna Maisonet doing this incredible effort. And here's the cover. What a beautiful cover. I love it. I mean, look at the hands, like the colors and the nails and everything, and all this juicy like octopus salad thing with some kind of like fried arepa. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful cover. Here it is, the back part. And yeah, it's a pretty big book, has many recipes, but more than that, it has a lot of history. And I think Illyanna Maisonet is by now maybe like a culinary historian. I read online that she's a she had a blog or like a column about Puerto Rican food, and I think that it could be extended to like Caribbean flavors and like Latin American flavors. So Illyanna, wherever you are, if you ever see this silly video, I love your book and you did an incredible job. It's amazing. Okay, where did I get this book or why? The explanation of it is that I was looking for more Latin American books made by Latin Americans, not some person coming from Europe or another side of the world or some specific hardcore chef that is like super fancy, but I want like real recipes with a story and people, and I'm seriously looking for people of color making books. And this is the reason why I ended up here. I found it in a list of like POC cookbooks, and so I had to get it. And actually, this one I took out from the library, but I'm already buying it. But since it's Christmas, it's gonna arrive who knows when. So anyway, in the meantime, I have the version from the bibliothèque. Before I get into all the characteristics of the book and we get to see some recipes, I want to read to you the foreword of this book by Michael Twitty, which I love. And if you don't know anything about Michael Twitty, he is a African-American Jewish historian, culinary historian, and you can see him in a TV show of Netflix, High on the Hog is called. Such a good series, just go and watch it because you need to. It's so much about history and of course flavors. And Michael Twitty also has this book called The Cooking Gene. I have not read it, but it has so good reviews that I need to get it. And he wrote the following for this book. She had me as a sapao and funche, guineos turned into magabeos, steaming bowls of sancocho, and juicy pernil. The point of a good cookbook is to make you curious, fascinated, and to want to start cooking immediately. Tito Puente and Willy Colon are already in the queue, and maybe some menudo. My hands are ready to get covered in garlic and achote. I'm ready to smash some guineos, and my culo is ready to shake to keep the impatience to chow down on arroz con pollo at bay. I mean, just that, like it really se me hizo la piel de gallina leerlo, because it's such a good introduction into how it feels to go through the pages of this book, and this is how I don't even know how to communicate this, but it really feels authentic and original and like close to home and I don't know, taken care of. So for the Latin American diaspora, this is a must.
I forgot to mention that he also has a masterclass course, and it's on tracing your roots through food. And I think this has been one of the best masterclass courses that I've seen. It's so much, there's so much information, but also he's so kind, and you can see how genuine and how insightful he is as a person that I recommend it to anyone to watch it.
Okay, so here we have the book again. Diasporican, a Puerto Rican cookbook. Here's how it looks. So beautiful. This is how it starts. And I have to say, this was a little bit creepy. My sister is completely afraid of crabs, and
cangrejos. And the thing is that we live by the sea, in front of the sea, in Colombia, in Cartagena, in Boca Grande. And all the crabs can come inside of the house all the time. And when they have like this little, their legs, they scratch the door. So it sounds really creepy, like someone is at the door, like scratching. And growing up, it was so mental, because like sometimes we were like, oh my god, is it a ghost? No, it's a freaking crab, and it's like doing like this to the door, whatever. But she's so afraid of them, it was insane. So yeah, my sister's not gonna like this. But I love the starting point. Like, you get to know immediately who the family is. I love the name of the mother, because of course I'm biased and I'm called Carmen, so she's called Carmen too. But Nereida is also a name that I don't see anywhere so much. Maybe in other cultures, who knows? But I don't see it so much anymore. And Nereida, I have a family member that her name is Nereida, and I don't know why, like both names, like this just sounds so close to me, and it almost feels like I'm watching the story or the history of my own family. And this is Nana, Margarita Galindez, these hardcore women that just work their ass off. I'll be reading some part of the book in the for social media, for Instagram, and I think it's gonna be more intense when you read it there, because it's so touching, but I don't want to put it right now in the reviews. So this is the table of contents, and as you can see, it has frituras, which is frying, and then beans and soups and stews, seafood, poultry, pork, beef, rice and other grains, salads and sides, and sweets and drinks. And I think this is very straightforward, just like any other cooking book, organized by the ingredient. Here it is, the foreword, which I love so much. And pictures, Puerto Rican pictures. Makes me wanna go to Latin America immediately. And this type of architecture, and all this type of architecture made by the Spanish a long time ago. Apparently this is called El Castillo San Felipe del Morro. And we have in Cartagena another castle that is called also San Felipe. So how many Felipes were out there during colonial times, who knows? But Jesus Christ, Felipe, change your name. Anyway, here, look at this picture. I don't even know what it is, and it's incredible. It's called alcapurrias, apparently. I have marked some parts that I want to read out loud on Instagram. But for now, I want to show you how it looks, some of the ingredients and like some of the recipes in it. So for instance, there's a recipe for sofrito, which is like in every single household, in everything we do, we have a sofrito as a base for everything else. Very similar to the French with the celery and onions and carrot. Piqué. Achote, what is achote? Ají dulce, which is different. Chayote, no idea what that is, but yeah. So here I have arepas de coco, which is the recipe for this amazing, beautiful picture that I wish I could just place. Like, can somebody sell this as a poster? Because I will buy it. It's so beautiful. I love it. Anyway, arepas de coco. This is how a recipe looks in this book. It has a paragraph that is very much about where does this dish come from, and sometimes it has history, sometimes it has a small story, and then the recipe and instructions, which is pretty short but okay, and also all the ingredients. And I think in this one I'm just missing that you get the measurements of other countries. So maybe not only the tablespoons and all, because that's very from North America, but yeah, it could work. And also I've gotten used to the idea of always translating what does a spoon there mean, but yeah. Other things I wanted to show. This is one that I wanted to show because it really goes deep into square by square, picture by picture of how you do this. So they're doing pasteles, and I love the entire explanation, and I also love why, pre-Colombian
Puerto Rico oldest recipes, published in Aguinaldo in 1893. It's a collection of poems, essays, and stories by various Puerto Rican poets and authors. It was this book that San Francisco Vasallo Forés briefly mentions an account of pasteles when he describes festive Christmas night feast. Pues que dejaremos escapar cobardemente de nuestras manos el puerquito asado de Nochebuena, el arroz con melao, arroz con dulce, los pasteles de hoja, el queso, arroz con perico y demás manjares todavía en vigor en nuestros campos. I love that she switches to Spanish because it really tells. I mean, if you're very curious, you would just like Google Translate or whatever, but it's like speaking to us, it's speaking to the diaspora. Like, we can use Spanish and not everything has to be translated. So I love that. And then she has these big explanations for barbacoas, which I also love because in Colombia we have lechona that you can cook with rice and everything inside. And it is very difficult to find instructions about it. So even the setup, to have like the setup of how can you do these in anywhere, it's amazing because I want to do it in Sweden. I probably convince my friends to like do these, although most of them are vegetarian, so maybe it's not gonna work. But yeah, this is how it looks. So it goes into all the explanation of what you need for these materials for this to work. So if you want to do this abroad and you're like me, that you're looking for this and you can't find it anywhere, it's probably a YouTube channel, a YouTube video showing it, but this I love super much. This gotta be like my top recipes just because it has this big plátano on top. Jibarito is called. Never heard of it. It looks amazing. And finally, what I wanted to show is this story and like culinary history of where Los Chinos Ponce ice cream come from. And similar to other places in Latin America, we had a lot of Chinese immigrants and immigrants from everywhere in the world that came to South America and had their own businesses. And those businesses have become like the most Latino thing now. And I know in Cartagena we have El Dragón de Oro, which is a Chinese restaurant in the center of town. And I mean, it looks very sketchy, and whoever is not from Cartagena wouldn't even know that it's an important thing. But that I grew up with that Chinese rice, which, by the way, there's a Chinese rice recipe somewhere here that I thought is brilliant, because Chinese rice, as we call it, which is like a stir-fried rice, is different in every country. So there you have the version from Puerto Rico. So this history about the cremeria, or like ice cream store from Los Chinos Ponce, I thought this is amazing because this shows you those special spots that you can go to and you can try, and that mean so much, and that come also from migration. So it's also trying to show the migration that went to Latin America and became part of the culture, of the culinary culture of Latin America. So really, really good job. Anyway, coquito. For those that want coquito, coquito is a drink, and as I understood, you drink it in the holidays. It's very, very big in Miami, and you should definitely try it because it's so good. It's so sweet, and for those that have diabetes or are in its way, you have to try it, or maybe get a version of coquito that is sugar-free, which I don't even know if that exists, but okay. As you can see, it's so beautiful. Like, all the pictures are beautiful. I love the graphic design. I love the colors. I love the fact that they show all of these ingredients. How do they look there? Because it's definitely different brands from what we have at home in Colombia. But I want to know which brands are those. Because I also go to Latin American stores in Sweden or wherever I go, and I see all these other brands, and I'm always suspecting like which one of those are the ones that the Peruvians actually use, or which one of those are the ones that, I don't know, like people from wherever, Ecuador, actually use. So yeah, I think this is so good. I'm gonna leave it here, and of course, I don't even know if Illyanna Maisonet is gonna be like super mad that I'm showing so much of her book, but actually I'm showing it because I want you to buy it. So go and buy it, and I'll put a link to buying it if you want to make it like quick. And now we're going to get into the scoring, and for clarity of instructions, I placed a 4. I really like that in some cases they have picture by picture, and when I show you inside of the book, you'll see this, of how you assemble tamales, etc. So really good for that. I think measurements could be better because it just goes into spoons, and I guess it's like a general thing, but if you live in different parts of the world, it might be like, oh, how many, and what are American spoons, etc. So yeah, that could be better, but overall it's really straightforward and very well explained. For ingredient accessibility, I would say a 3. I mean, again, I live in Sweden, so I could actually put this in 2 because it's so hard to get like any sort of ingredient from around the world, but especially from Latin America is super hard. I think you can get more things from Africa and from Asia here, but not Latino. So it is really hard here, but I guess if you live in the United States, it's different. So yeah. For cultural sensitivity, I place this book on a 5. Literally everything from the foreword by Michael to all the history of like Chinese immigrants in Puerto Rico and like their legacy of their food in like the Puerto Rican culinary history, all of that is incredibly well done. And it feels very much not like a sort of, sometimes I read cookbooks in which you have like some kind of researcher that has studied this or made a PhD about it, whatever. And it just doesn't feel like so authentic or real, like it's not connected. This one includes stories that are very connected to her family, to the way she sees Puerto Rico, and I don't know, it just felt very, very close to me. And finally, originality. And for that one, I have to say a 4.5. I think it's not original in the sense of like, ooh, how original is this recipe from like some fancy thing, but more originality in the sense that you have a lot of culture from Latin America in it. I have not seen other books having so much of this. It's very rare to see books from Latin America that are done in this way, so it's a very precious book. And also the fact that Illyanna comes from a humble background makes it like straightforward, no bullshit, and I love that. I love that she's so herself, like, you know, take it or leave it. It really feels like a very real conversation and transparent conversation with the person that wrote it, instead of having so many embellishments of like, oh, this is how fancy this ingredient is and only you can get it in this exclusive part. It's like nothing like that. So if you're into real home and like also techniques from Latin American cooking that you don't find anywhere, maybe this is the book for you. Finally, my final question is, would I buy this for a friend? Yes, I would buy this for a friend, especially a Latin American friend, or anyone that's like learning Spanish, wanting to go to Latin America or wanting to know more about Latin American culture. I think in general, this is a great book, and it has both recipes that are complicated, but it also has recipes that are very, very simple, and that I can see serving that even in a brunch. Like some of the recipes are like, yeah, you could have these anywhere in the world and in any occasion. So I think, yes, buy it, especially now for Christmas. And the other one is, would I buy it for myself? Definitely yes. I already ordered it, but it hasn't come because if you live in the Nordics, you know, PostNord, not the greatest logistical operation here. But anyway, yeah, I would buy it for myself. I really, really hope you like this review and you want to go and learn more about Illyanna Maisonet. I think she's incredible. And I'll put some more information about her in the links below. So until next week, next book. Bye.